This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Yo, what's happening, Mike? Sunday, another week of football down, almost down.
Honestly, my focus on football is probably less than it's ever been. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even watch the Eagles today. I opted to go to a women's college soccer game at Rutgers University with my daughter after attending her soccer game earlier this morning. So it was a soccer-filled Sunday. But yeah, you know, I still appreciate football. I still had a couple bets, and I'm gonna need the under of this this Sunday night Falcons Chiefs game to hit a nice parlay here. If anybody wants to sweat the game with your boy, I need the under on that game big time.
Yeah, that's a potential to be a high-scoring game too.
Yeah, no, I know. I just think sometimes prime time, you know, you expect it to be a high-scoring game and it doesn't. But yeah, you know, same old, man, same old. You know, grinding it out, enjoying the weekend. How about you? I saw a social media post over the weekend that you were at B3.
I was. I went down there, had to get some stuff fixed up. There's some wear and tear of some of the balls and stuff. So I went in there to figure out practice while I'm in there. Been meaning to drill a few new balls. My equipment is at this point just not really where I want it to be. So I decided that I was going to start bringing in some new equipment. I saw an OG gem, the original gem, and I've been wanting to drill a gem for a while because I know I like that ball. I've watched a lot of I've just watched a lot of people throw it on tour. I've thrown Simo. I've seen Simo throw it a bunch. I've seen a lot of people like it. It's got a really slow reaction. So, Mike, I bought it off the shelf. I paid full price, paid for my drill.
Look at you.
You know, becoming a real bowler here. And yeah, I threw it a few shots, but throwing it okay.
Were you practicing on a pattern or?
Yeah, it was like a 40. Yeah, it's always a pattern at B3. They don't ever like put the house, even if the house is. The one thing that was not surprising, but a little bit overwhelming is like looking at all of the bowling balls they have on the shelf at the pro shop. And for somebody who isn't really a big bowling ball guy, like I'm not involved in the epidemic like a lot of people are. It's a little bit overwhelming, man. You don't know what to drill. Like I have to bring in about three more balls in my arsenal. And bro, I mean, we talk about it all the time, but until you have to actually do it yourself, I have no idea what to drill. So I called our boy Bill. I got his perspective. I talked to him for a little bit to figure out what kind of, the thing about Bill's not a big bowling ball guy either. Bill's not the guy to really call when you want to figure out what to drill because he only drills the same like three balls that he likes.
And I feel that he gets the balls. He starts to use the balls way later than you might expect. Like these balls that just came out, he might not even throw these because he's not even bowling right now. He's not going to decide what he's going to throw until November, December, you know, when the tour's coming back around. And by then they'll have a whole different roster of bowling balls out already. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. But
so I
present another perspective there real quick?
Sure.
What about being a pro shop owner?
Oh, today? I talked to Brandy about it.
You know what I'm saying? Like
no.
You just I don't know, like the number of bowlers has declined, and the number of bowling balls produced has gone up and up and up. And pro shops they, at times have to feel like they're in the position where they have to stock just an unbelievable amount of product, and like almost to a point where it's got to be impossible in a lot of situations to stock all this new product. I mean, it's just there's just so much out there.
It is. It's wild, and there's even talks about like Brunswick releasing new balls almost every month, like every month. So I can't imagine like that's wild to me. Like, hey, I'm about to drill a new release. Oh, just wait till next month so you can drill the newer release.
Yeah, JG in the chat saying you do not keep anything in stock. It's 3 days. Okay, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I thought about that, Jay, as I was saying that. Like, it's got to be a business model where you're not really stocking much of anything. You're ordering everything.
Just shelving it. Just shelving like for the look of the shop, and you're not even going to shelf every like equipment, right?
Oh, look at the people. Roger Welton in the chat saying the king of the patch pirates has come back at me. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check. Like I said, I don't go to his page much.
I haven't seen that.
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah. So I called. So just for my own like equipment, I called Bill. I'm obviously going to drill a theorem. Ball is really good. I've seen him throw that a lot. I like that ball. So I'm drilling one of those. Probably going to talk to my brother. I talked to my brother, Jeff. My brother, Jeff, drills a lot of balls because he does those ball review videos, so he's a good person to talk to, at least for the Brunswick side of it. NV Tour. I'm not a new release type guy. Like I won't drill a new release unless I really know what it does. There's been times when I've just kind of been like, screw it, let's drill it. But other than that, when I'm trying to put together an arsenal, I'm trying to put together a variety of sims, as well as balls that I know people have liked and even sometimes have been throwing for a year or two. I mean, look, I just drilled a gem. I'm going to drill an NV Tour, Theorem. These are proven balls, right?
Well, I was going to say, when you mentioned some of those balls, and you kind of said this point yourself, I just want to be more clear about it. For the average bowler out there, Rob, it's almost a better decision to be 3 to 4 months behind the ball market, right?
Agreed.
And really let the stuff come out, right? See what's good, see what people are throwing, what's successful. Sometimes you're going to be able to see that earlier. Sometimes it might take you longer to see that. Sometimes there might be a ball that everybody thinks is good and is you don't like the shape of it going down the lane. So like, I don't think it's a bad thing to take that approach that you're talking about here, right? Where you and honestly, that's the advice I give a lot of people that come to me who are like anywhere from beginner level bowlers all the way up to just your good 220 average league bowler. I tell them, have you drilled all the gems? Like, have you drilled all the best balls that are still out? Do you have a Venom Shock? Do you have an IQ Tour? Do you have this? Do you have, and I go through the list, and
so
I just think that's a smart strategy.
Well, it's especially true if you're going to pay full price at a pro shop. All right. If I'm going to spend $200 to $250 right now, which is what a full price, full drill is going to cost you, especially on a high performance or mid performance, you really want to be certain of what like you're getting. Like these new releases. Okay. So a good example, right? This Ion Pro Max just came out, right? It's like this pink and white and purple storm ball, right? And I've seen a bunch of between patch pirates and pro staffers and everybody showing videos. And some videos it looks terrible, and some videos it looks okay, and some, which are normally the best bowlers in the world, make it look great. But ultimately, do I want to spend $250 if I'm buying a full purchase for a, I don't know, 50-50 chance that this ball is going to be actually good, or is it just a new release that they're coming out with because it's just that time of the year? And I want a ball that's certain it's going to work. So that's my approach, and I agree. The technology isn't going to change in the last 3 to 4 months, right? So if I drill a ball that was 6 months old, Mike, that was a new release 6 months ago, is the new technology they really came out with 6 months later really going to change the ball reaction from no. Every ball video you see online looks the same. They look the same for the last year or two. The reactions, everything looked the same to me. So yeah, I'm gonna go, and I think the best strategy is to watch the PBA when they're on tour, watch the women when they're on tour, and watch what they're using during qualifying and match play. The only problem with that is it seems to be if I was going to take that strategy, I'm going to be drilling mostly urethane these days because that's what it seems like everybody's throwing. But yeah, so anyway, I'm putting together my arsenal.
Okay.
I'm going to actually be going to California next weekend. I'm going to be seeing Mark Baker.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to that because now that gives me a point of strategy for me when I practice. Because right now I'm just bowling for the sake of feeling good, trying to get my timing right, whatever. But I could be doing a lot of things wrong. And it's so good to have somebody say, well, you need to shorten up your steps or your timing is here. And now you could practice what he showed you. And I think that's really important too. So it's slowly coming together. And yeah, I might as well finish my league while I'm doing my league review. I bowled last week on the PBA Wolf. I actually bowled really good. 888 for 4 games. Was clean 3 out of 4. Won the clean 4 jackpot, which I'll find out at the end of the year, which is not going to be a lot. But you have to be clean in like, I don't know what it is, like 8 frames in the 4 games or 9 frames in the 4 games, and they give you certain frames. I also was clean 3 to 4, which means I had 3. Also 3 games towards the end of the year pot. Shocker through a purple hammer, right? Like, I mean, I think I felt bad for people bowling in the league that weren't using urethane or playing right. It's amazing to me. You still see that on short patterns and people trying to be competitive on these patterns, and they're, standing on 15 and 20, trying to throw reactive. And I sometimes feel bad because it's, when you're able to move right on that pattern and use urethane, it almost turns into a house shot to a certain degree when you have that good of a reaction. Like, so, yeah, bowl good, spare shooting's good, slowly getting there. So yeah, that's the league review. Was happy with my league.
Wolf is tough, man. Wolf is like hook. Early.
Yeah, they weren't hooking as much as I thought they were going to be.
PBA Elite League champion Sean Rash in the chat. No doubt we'll get there. That we're definitely covering that tonight, obviously. That's the main course here, I would say, tonight. My league review. We bowled on a short pattern too. I forget the name. PBA Legend something. One of the Legend patterns. Steph, what was the name of our pattern that we bowled on Tuesday? Give me the name in the chat if you're still here. Short pattern, which on my Holman, which on my pair, the gutter did not hook. And they were hard. They were really hard. Hardwick, actually, yeah. Tony's right. Tony's in the chat. What's up, Tony? They were hard, bro. I mean, you had to hit 6-7, and if you didn't hit 6-7, you were crossing over or missing the head pin. It was one or the other. And you had to hit 6-7 going dead straight through the front part of the lane. There was no going to it. You had to go up it. And it was hard. I bowled amazingly the first game. I think I got less than 9 in 1 frame. And I shot 2-teen. And then from there, it got a little ugly. Second game, my reaction went away with urethane. Light. Couple splits, couple washouts. I think I shot like 160. And then the last game, I switched balls, moved left, had a bunch of hold at that point. At one point at one part of the lane, bowled okay, and yeah, 550 for 3. So not great. First time picking up a ball in 2 weeks though, so I'll take it. Yeah, it was rough out there though. It was rough out there. I'm not going to lie. I know Steph bowled well. Shout to him. But it was rough out there, generally speaking. There were not a lot of strikes being thrown. Most pairs looked really tough. Steph, I have to say, your pair, it looked like the gutter was hooking. It looked like you guys were in good shape over there. I was quite jealous as to what I saw was going on that pair. So, yeah, like I had a good time. We won our matchup, so that was fine. Here's one thing I want to point out. We have 40 people in this league. Okay.
Okay.
Out of those 40 people, a large number, I'm going to say, are not your typical bowlers that you would think would join this league. Okay, like you would think that your 220 plus average bowlers are going to be the bowlers that are mostly going to join a league like this, right? But in this instance, it's actually sort of the opposite. There's a lot of bowlers bowling this sport league that I would say are probably sub 220 on house as their composite house average.
Yeah, kind of like my league, right? Remember we talked a little bit.
Yeah, and the question I ask myself is, why is that? Why is that? Why is it that when you try and create this sport environment, you get two groups? You get the really high level players who just enjoy bowling in that environment, right, and kind of know what they're doing, and you get people who are somewhat unfamiliar with that environment and aren't really your run of the mill person that you would think would bowl in that environment. But the people you don't get are the 220 to 230 higher skilled house players. Thoughts on that?
Yeah. So my league is very similar. Remember I told you at the beginning of the year, they said that the common average of my league was around 160 to 170. And that was the previous season league average. So I think sport bowling for someone who's a 220 plus house average, I don't think that person wants to bowl sport for all of the reasons we've said on this show for so many years. It's that they don't want to take an ego check, right? Where if they're a 230 average, they may average 160 to 170 on a sport league.
Yeah, that we know. What about the other group? Why do you think that other group is so much more open to that experience? Is it because they don't have that built-in expectation or ego, if you want to call it that? Is that really what it is?
I think a lot of people want to learn, or they want to experience it. Maybe they've never experienced it before. I appreciate it, and I think that's really important in the sport for people that are in the 150 to 190, 200 house average to experience the sport league and to see what hitting from the men's tees is like, right? I do think that it's definitely, I agree with that, because my league is the same thing. I mean, there's really only maybe, I would consider 3 or 4 of us out of like 30, maybe 5 that are probably in their like high 220 average for house leagues, and the rest are probably just lower average. But I think there's people trying to learn and experience it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So that's my league report for this week.
Yeah, John's in my league, and he talks about in the chat, says those of us that are not 220 averages want to get better. Not that I'm doing much better this year, but still.
No, I think that's a really fair point. I think that says a lot actually about the difference between the two experiences. Because as you know, like the only way to really improve on that side, on the sports side, is to kind of invest a little time in practicing. Invest a little time in trying to figure things out, trying to solidify your game a little bit, I would say.
The one thing that I wish that bowling alleys would do is that it just stinks that I have to wait once a week to bowl on a sport, or have to go to B3 and pay a $40 for an hour. I do wish that to a certain extent, some of the bowling alleys would oil a pattern or two like every day with a sport shot, and I've talked about this prior when I always talked about if I was a bowling alley owner, I would try to oil a pair or two, maybe on a non-league night or whenever I knew I had open bowling, and I would maybe advertise it to people and say, hey, like for an extra, maybe, I don't know, $1 a game, extra dollar, you could bowl on what the pros bowl on, right? And if nobody's there and you need the lanes, then you could put open bowlers on it. They ain't gonna know the difference between a sport pattern or a house pattern. But if I knew that a sport pattern was maybe out, I don't know, Saturday afternoon, after 12, and I could go there and pay whatever it is, $4, $5, Bolero, $9, to bowl in a sport pattern, I might do that just to get real practice. And I don't know. I wish I didn't have to wait once a week to bowl in a sport or have to go to B3 and pay for an expensive hourly rate.
Yeah, I feel you. If I owned a bowling center, I would oil one pair with sport every day.
Right.
And then it would be a surprise. Like the league bowlers would walk in and they wouldn't know until practice starts. Like, oh no, we got the sport pair today. Then everybody would know, oh, that's the pair you want to go practice on. But yeah. All right, so that reviews our bowling. I'll be bowling again on Tuesday. I'll be bowling most Tuesdays from here on out. So I should have league reports. I know I took a couple weeks off there. Actually, Rob, it was one of my greatest troll jobs ever because I did nothing but talk and talk and talk about how all these people who I bowled in this house league with over the summer need to come and bowl the sport league. And, oh, you need to bowl the sport. And I got on them. And then I don't show up for the first 2 weeks. And yeah, there were rumors flying around about me not really bowling, and I was pulling a ruse on everybody. But no, everybody can relax. I'm there. I'll be there most Tuesdays after this, so we're all good. All right, Rob, what do you want to get into next?
I think we get into the league shows. Talk about a little bit what's going on there.
Here's what I remember. I remember a couple years ago when Amleto Monicelli drafted the original players for this Las Vegas High Rollers team. And we can go back and check the record on this, but I think both of us just absolutely trashed him for the picks that he made for this team when he was starting this team out. I mean, I forget exactly what happened, but I remember that like his first pick was just outrageous. It was something outrageous. And we just laid into him like none other. Okay. And man, how wrong were we? Because a couple years later, they take out the perennial champs. Okay. Like this wasn't just a win. This was like sticking your flag in the ground. Like we're here in your place. Okay. Your boy is breakdancing on the floor when he strikes, okay? And we're sticking our flag in the ground and saying, nah, this is ours. We're taking this. So I gotta go back. I gotta check us on that, Rob. I gotta put us on Cold Takes Exposed for that. Because do you remember this the way I remember it or no?
I do remember Monticelli always had a little bit of a struggle drafting. I do remember that. I don't remember specifically the examples behind it.
I think we were pretty well spoken about how we felt about that. So, I gotta give him props for that.
I was also hard on the Lumberjacks too. I was.
Yeah, through 16 frames of this match. It looked like it was going to be over in 3 games. It looked like the Lumberjacks were going to absolutely run away with it. It looked like it was going to be 3 and done. And then the momentum shifted. And Las Vegas was able to grasp the lead towards the end of that second game. Troop's not able to get up and strike out to win or double, and I think he needed double and dime to win. Not able to do it. And all of a sudden it's 1-1, and the momentum just shifted, and Portland never got the momentum back. To me that little maybe 4-frame stretch there from the 6th frame of the second game to the 10th frame of the second game is a lot of what decided that match.
Yeah, Nico writes in the chat that saw my tweet, got a lot of response. It did. I'll talk a little bit after some of the.
Can I just say his tweet? I wrote an article about this already. He's out here rehashing ideas I've already said strongly and wrote articles on. Yeah, it's a great product. It's a great product, but they need to do something with it.
It's different.
It's not interesting enough.
It isn't. But I think for the specific shows, I was a little bit more. I wasn't as vested as I was on previous years for this specific one. But I'll talk a little bit about that. But as for the shows, I have a couple of questions. I'm going to talk a little bit not of the bowling itself. Arturo, okay. Arturo got a lot of shit online. I mean, a lot of it, okay? And a lot of people probably, whoever, right, they're entitled the way they feel. I'm going to ask you, for being somebody who loves when bowlers show emotion and bowlers get crazy and they get nuts, was he going overboard? Like, was there a point where you're just like, bro, it's like the third frame, like you need to relax? Like,
I don't know if there is an overboard in that environment. I'll be honest.
Okay.
In that particular environment, I think you can take it as far as you want, and there is Alex no overboard.
Says yes twice. So,
but outside of that environment, the answer would clearly be yes. Anywhere outside of Bayside, the answer would clearly be yes. But because it's in that
even for this
I
tournament,
no.
Okay. So even for this tournament. Okay. And
Alex is called him a loon. He called him a loon. Alex Sword, you are off the chain in the chat.
Dude,
so.
I saw some brutal comments. Okay. People calling him a clown. One person said, Mike. One person said, man, this guy moves to Bayside. He practices every day to throw 2 strikes a year.
Oh.
And it just kills me. Like, the guy, he's like, oh, he never made a show, or, all kinds of stuff. Like, he was getting a lot of shit, but you really see, I kind of disagree with you a little bit, because for someone who loves when bowlers show emotion and they get like wild, I think there's certain times to do it when it really hits or slaps, right? Like, if your opponent misses or splits and it's a close game and Arturo gets up and then just absolutely just laces one, strikes, and he does his, whatever, and he's jumping and he's doing his, like, that hits harder, right? Than every time you strike to do that, like, get like completely out of your mind crazy. Like, I think
that if the situation as it was as which you described, he would up it even more. That's what I think.
Up it anymore than
he could up it more. He could up it more.
He damn near at some times was jumping into the.
You could up it more. You could up it more.
Well,
what are you talking about? He could certainly up it more.
You could, but like, you have to have certain times. Like, I just feel like you can get crazy and emotional, fine, but there's times when you got to pick and choose your spots to really go overboard. And I just think he was going overboard every shot, which is cool. I mean, look, it made me laugh. Like, you don't know what the hell he was going to do. And I love him for it. But I think that there's a little bit of truth to people giving him shit online about like what he was doing. I do. I could see why it would rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
Alex is like, he's out there doing the Booker T Spinneroonie on the approach. Like, get off, bro. Dude, that's hilarious. I know. Like,
my God.
Like, this guy is dancing. It's like the 4th frame of the first game, and he's like out there, like, he's like doing all kinds of crazy shit. But that's funny.
Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, if the match only goes 3 games, you're only getting 6 shots.
So you might have made.
So how long? Well, that's what I'm saying. How long you want to wait to bring your A game, bro? You're only getting 6 shots, so make them count. Make everyone count. That's why I'm with it. Make everyone count. And then if you get the opportunity where you really get up in a spot, then you could all bets are off. My man might run down the like. I've seen guys back in the day in Jersey bowl action, and they would throw the ball, and they would need a strike to win the game. They throw the ball. they would feel like they're going to strike, and they would get up on the gutter cap and run down the gutter cap after the ball. I swear to God, true stories. This was like a regular thing, and like that's what I'm saying. Like he could even take it to another level. You know, he could even take it to another level. So yeah, like I'm with it. I'm all right with it. You know, I'm okay with it. But I do wish that they would do something different and more serious with this league product. I do. I wish they would just do something a little bit more serious. Geo Strap in the chat is saying this is Mello Arturo. 30 years ago when he was bowling Vera Papas in Garden City, he really showed emotion. I have some experience with that, Geo. Tim Mack brought him and I forget the other guy's name, another well-known bowler from South America, to Roosevelt Lanes. And Tim Mack stood up on a table and was like, whoever wants to bowl these two, unlimited action. And yeah, like a lot of people lined up to bowl and a lot of people were pulling money out and betting. And yeah, they mopped everybody. And there was a lot of emotion and a lot of talking and a lot of back and forth going on in that match. I remember thinking when they bowled that match, like it's amazing that the people who were bowling were like communicating with each other, even though neither of them spoke the same language. And it was like they're communicating through their reactions in the game. It was wild. But yeah, I have some experience with that. So
yeah, so my problems that I had with the league this year is the timing of the shows, which was my main point. That they had the shows, which I agree with Roger, like having the shows on stream at every stop was cool, right? You could keep following. But then you have the finals almost what was it, Mike? Like months, right? Like months later is when the finals are rolling in, right? And it's just too long of a time period for people to like forget about it in a sense.
Yeah, and it was too hard to keep track of the standings, the quote unquote standings throughout the season. Right. Even though I agree with Roger in the chat that it was a nice change of pace the way it was set up this year. It definitely didn't pan out the way I would have liked it to as a fan. I actually thought a little bit about like, okay, since that didn't really pan out, like what would be another format or another way that they could do things that might be interesting. And I actually thought like, okay, draft the teams, everybody has their teams, and then at some stops you run like mini tournaments. You make them like mini team titles, where it's like a small amount of money. They're bowling for money, but it's like a small team tournament. You bowl like a small short format, Baker qualifying, and then a finals, maybe even a step ladder of some kind that you can air. And then you judge who goes to the final six or whatever. Yeah, final six by who wins the team, the mini team tournaments, where people finish in the mini team tournaments. And then at the end of the year, you have the same thing in Bayside, but perhaps you're bowling for more money, and that's like the major title. Make it a title for everybody. Definitely make it a title.
I just the title's good and all. I'm okay with that, but it's like, yo, you waited 3 months to put or whatever the time period.
I know.
And then no, Mike, you wait 3 months, and then what happens? You put it on top of football.
I know.
Like really? Like you had.
But we know that's because of, Fox. That's because of scheduling.
It's not the PBA's fault, but I would imagine that the PBA has some say of what shows go on what slots.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I definitely think if you're going to do it the way they did it, it should be right after the season ends when it's fresh in people's minds, right?
Yeah, they have no control over what Fox puts them in what time slots, right? They take the time slots and they do the best what they can. But I would imagine that they could have found a way to put these shows and made it earlier in the year, and then maybe I'd be okay with now. Mike, hear me here, right? Maybe making these 3 time slot shows and maybe doing the PBA charity event on these 3 shows, right? Where the celebrity like Phoenix that they did the raceway stuff and they do it now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I'm not in charge of scheduling or whatever, but I'm just saying as a fan, it was kind of useless for me to have to watch these 3 months later, forgetting about everything that really happened and kind of not being really invested in it. And Mike, they got to get rid of these cities. It's so useless. Like you've been campaigning for that for years.
Yeah.
And then look, Portland has the home field every year. I mean, is that how it's just going to be for the rest of like the league? Like the same 5 guys are going to be bowling in
yeah, and you know what? I kind of think that's fine because they do cheer for everyone, and it is a raucous environment for everyone.
Yeah, but it's still a little more for them. There's more for them, but it's not going to be a real league until that city advantage is happening for other teams if they want to keep the cities and they're bowling in their own cities. It's so useless in the fact that you have all these teams or all these different cities, and they don't even bowl in these cities. These cities aren't even hosting them to bowl these league events.
Right.
So it's so stupid.
I know. I like you said. I've said that years ago. Like
sponsorships, which is what I think Bruce said in the chat. I believe Bruce Falcon, who we've had on the show. Instead of doing cities, find sponsors to sponsor.
Yeah, but they did that, and then the problem is the sponsors don't stick around, right?
Yeah,
so I'm almost at the point where it's like just have the team name. It's the Lumberjacks. It's the High Rollers. It's this. It's just get rid of the city. You could keep the team name.
Oh, here's a good
viewpoint. Still cheer for the people they want to cheer for.
Daniel says, how about Fox using the same pressing questions that have used multiple times can come up with new content?
Well, there's a reason why. Probably because they weren't there enough or long enough this week to film anything new.
But
right?
Wait. Why can't they just ask the pros when they have them there? Ask them like a whole bunch of questions and just cut them out and save them.
They do, but that's
not enough.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, like they ran. They ran out.
They ran out. I mean, how hard is it to ask these pros? Like, hey, let's ask them 20 questions in one sitting, okay, and then just cut them out.
That's a lot of time, bro.
No, it's not 20 questions. You could do 20 questions in a minute. You could do them in 40 minutes? I don't know. I'm just saying. Look, I agree, but anyway. I still love the atmosphere of Bayside. I'm not like fully like I still love it there. The crowd's always amazing. The people always show out there, Mike. It's a unique atmosphere. The team event's great. I'm always about the team event. They should not get rid of that. They should keep the team, keep the Bayside. There just has to be some changes and some adjustments going forward. And that's really all I was trying to say.
MVP Matt Russo.
I thought Andrew Anderson was MVP.
Yeah, I disagree though.
Oh, you don't think so?
I think Andrew Anderson was the MVP of like the league season. I don't know about this particular finals or whatever, but in the final, I'm saying Matt Russo.
Okay.
Nice bowling. But all right, Rob, let's give the people what they want, bro.
Yeah. Well, I would have said Sean Rash bowled great, didn't he, in the last few shows?
Yeah, I just felt like Russo in this particular. I'm saying of the final. Like if this is the NBA and we're doing a finals MVP, Matt Russo is my finals MVP.
Got it.
So,
okay. Let's go.
Hold on, before we get started. Hold on. Nico says I'm wrong. Why is Andrew Anderson not the MVP? He threw some clutch shots. Yeah, he also threw a 5 count. He made it. Shout to him, but he threw a 5 count at a very critical time of the match. Rash says, thank you for setting me straight. Andrew was MVP of both. He also says Russo was 14 of 16, son. Nico, need I say more, bro? Need I say more? Okay.
That's unbelievable.
Sando says,
"Oh, here we go.
This is going to get us off on a tangent here. Maybe Tom Clark is the problem at this point. If keeping the PBA alive is the mission, then Tom might be your guy. But if growing the PBA is the mission, then show me what Tom has done." Oh.
Okay,
that's such a tough criticism.
Could I respond?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. we've had Tom on the show before, and I think Tom has made it clear now. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while since we had this interview with him. He's in a sense handcuffed by Bolero to actually be able to grow the PBA. He's not getting the, would you say, financial support from Bolero to try to reinvest in the PBA. At this point, he's just trying to work with what he's has. Is that safe to say, or am I wrong with that?
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like since Bolero has bought the PBA Tour, they've definitely invested in it a little bit. I mean, just in terms of the prize funds going up, number of events. I could give you a couple other examples. So I'm not sure you can say that, but I don't like, just because Tom Clark doesn't have the answer of how to attract more eyes to bowling or how to attract a younger audience to bowling doesn't mean that the guy's not doing a good job. I mean, no one has the answer to that. If someone had the answer to that, it wouldn't be in the position that it's in. Right. So that's a really complicated and hard question to answer. That's a really hard task. I mean, Sando, that might be an impossible task for what it's worth. So I'm not sure that's the measuring stick by which we should judge the job that someone has done. Now, with that said, would I do things differently? Yes, I would. Would I try and be more radical with the changes that I'm making to try and get more eyes on the sport, or like I said, attract more younger viewers to the sport, younger sponsors to the sport? Absolutely. I've talked about a lot of the ideas through the course of this podcast. Like off the top of my head, I would absolutely change the format of how they bowl. That's like, to me, the easiest change they can make. That to me would make the show more interesting. Give more opportunity. It should be shot for shot, 1-1-1-1-1-1, back and forth the whole time. Give people more opportunity to show emotion, easier to follow score wise. But that's just one example. I've also talked about the TV set, things that could change there and what. I'm not going to get into it now, but this is a tough thing to solve, man. See, so to judge the guy by that is hard.
And it's so funny how different me and you think about growing bowl, like the PBA. You talk about the bowling stuff, the formats, the show. I say it's always about the personality of the pros and the bowlers, right? That's what appeals to people and appeals to youth and appeals to everybody. I mean, if you go ask 1,000 non-bowlers of a bowler they know, and I would say over 90% of them are going to say P. Weber.
Yeah, or they're going to say,
who do you think you are? I am guy.
Or they're going to say the Australian guy who throws it with two hands.
No, they're going to say.
Or they're going to say the guy with the afro. Yeah, you're going to get different answers to that, Rob. Yes, you are.
Do you know how many times
wrong about that, bro?
You know how many times at work people come over to me and they'll be like, "Oh, do you know that guy who couldn't speak the who do you think you are? I am guy." I'm like, yeah. You're like, I know who he is. Of course, he's P. Weber. He's one of the big greatest of all time. And I'm like, oh, you know who Jason Belmonte is? He's like one of the greatest of all. No, I have no idea who this guy is. Like they don't have any idea who Jason Belmonte is. P. Weber is such a national status pro bowler.
No, you're wrong. It's only because of the viral video.
Exactly.
And that's how they know it. Okay. But if you went to somebody and said, "Hey, I bowl. Oh yeah, I bowl at a high level." I see pro bowling on TV. And say, "Oh, do you know any of the bowlers?" They're liable to say, "Oh yeah, the guy with the afro, or the guy that throws it with two." That's what I'm talking about. I understand your point. You're right, but there are other examples where people recognize some of the other bowlers outside of Pete Weber for some kind of reason. Yeah.
Pete Weber is the national face of bowling. Between the barstool stuff, the meme, the GIF, everything that happened, that he's been involved in. Pete, he is known as him and Kingpin, Roy Munson and Big Earn McCracken. Those are the three things that people know about bowling. Really, I'm being honest. So
Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski, Kingpin and Pete Weber, right? And it's all about the personality of the players. That's what it drives. Look at what happened with the poker boom.
I want the personality of the players too. I just think that there's like sections you got to look at of like, okay, this needs to change. This needs to do better. We need to do better over here. And you're right. The promotion of the players, the personalities, etc., that needs to be better. But there's other things that I would change too. That's all. I agree with you.
I agree. The problem is that sometimes as a commissioner like Tom Clark, you're only as good as working with the personality of the pros that you have, right? And I'm being critical of the pros. And it's not their fault, right? Bowling is a very even keel mental sport. Like you can't be Arturo Quintero every shot if you're bowling for a major, okay? You can't do that bowling on TV. I can't imagine yelling and jumping up and down and doing the Booker T spinneroonie after every strike you throw if you're on a bowling for a major title. See, that's why bowling is it's tough to let the bowlers show their emotions and personalities because they have to be even keel to win. That's why the team sport is a very unique event for the pros because they get to show emotion and they don't have to throw a shot until like 10 minutes later. So it gives them a chance to calm down, calm the nerves, drink some water, take a couple deep breaths, and then throw a shot and get crazy again. So that's the benefit of team bowling.
Fair enough. All right. My worst of the week this week is Jimmy still here? Ring 10, you still here? My worst of the week this week goes out to Inside Bowling.
Uh-oh.
Which Jimmy runs. Jimmy runs the account. I'm so sorry to have to do this, bro. I'm
first time ever
over this. First time ever that I'm coming at him in this
Jimmy.
way. I'm sorry. Jimmy! Usually my boy, I hear him on the radio pulling it off and I'm banging on the wall in the shower. I have to give him worst of the week. Inside Bowling, putting out ball ads for Motive Ice Forge. I don't want to see that. You knew it. You knew it was coming, son, because I retweeted it and said, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. My guy Mike Flanagan in a ball ad. Jimmy putting together the ball ads. Is this what you're going to be spamming me with now, son? Don't worry. I'll never unfollow, son. I'll never unfollow. You put up 100 ball ads. I won't unfollow, but please, come on. We got enough of this out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, so my worst of the week goes to a gentleman, but one of his like shorts and reels, a lot of stuff that we've been putting out here came across my endless, scrolling on my phone. Keaton Hendricks. Okay, and there's a picture of him. It looks like he slides on the wrong foot. Here, I'll put it up to the camera.
Okay.
You see a picture of him?
Okay.
So it looks like he's sliding on the wrong foot. And it says, when picking up the last strike of a 300 game means nothing because you've done it already 20 times.
Oh.
So I actually had another one I saw come across too, where the person's asking, how many 300 800s have you bowled? And then their first response is telling everybody how many they bowled. So it's like it's like essentially an undercover fig jam. And if anybody doesn't know what a fig jam is, I've said it before on the air. It's fuck, I'm great, just ask me. It's like asking people what you want to tell everybody about yourself. So I would love to be able to ask these people in general, sport or house. I think that's my favorite question. Sport or house. I think I might actually design a shirt, Mike. A Sweep the Rack shirt that would say sport or house. That's the question. And if people come over to me and say, hey, I bowled 300, you just point at the shirt. Sport or house. I don't want to hear it.
People, go ahead. Yeah, let's wrap it up, Rob. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, that's it, man. That's my worst of the week. So let's finish this up.
My final thought is that people are bringing up the King of the Patch Pirates in the chat. And I went, while we were on the air here, I went to the YouTube page. I didn't see any new videos unless he's firing shots at me in one of his ball reviews. And if you people think I'm going to sit through that garbage to get to even somebody talking about me, I ain't. So I don't know. I don't know what the word is on that. But to be honest with you, I couldn't care less what the King of the Patch Pirates has to say about me. It's irrelevant to me. Say what you will. If you want to call me the problem with bowling or I'm toxic to bowling community, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I speak from an informed perspective. Okay. As long as you don't accuse me of not knowing what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to these type of topics, not say that I know everything about the physical side of bowling or ball reaction, et cetera, but yeah, I've been around the game too long for somebody to tell me that I don't know what I'm looking at. So don't really care. I'm off that. It is what it is. I'll make that my final thought.
Cool. My final thought is I don't believe we're going to have a show next weekend. I will be out of town. I'll be in California. So I think we'll let the people know we'll probably end up coming on next week. There isn't really any bowling coming up. I think Nico said the only thing coming up is the LBC Clash, which I didn't even know until Nico put that in chat. So it shows how
I think that might have been filmed this weekend. That's what they did last year. They filmed it the weekend that they had the team finals and then broadcast it later. Here's a little thought for you, Rob.
Yeah.
Geo Strap coming with all kinds of old school knowledge in the chat tonight. There is a video of Mike Newman winning the Cream of the Crop tournament. They say Mike is considered the best amateur on earth. His accomplishments at the time were 10 300s and 4 800s. Truth, too.
I bowled Cream of the Crop tournament. That was a good tournament. I believe that was down in Florida for a while. I don't know what happened to that. And I think Glixer wants to keep us on the air longer, but I'm just going to read this comment. If bowlers showed more emotions and there were bowling beefs, kids would care like kids like drama. I completely 100% agree with you, Glixer, and we can go down that road. Trust me, I'm all for bowling beef dramas only if they're real. I don't want no fraudulent beefs, and there's not a lot of them out there because these guys, they travel too much together. They're not bowling for enough money for them to hate each other. I think if they end up bowling for millions of dollars one day, like kind of NASCAR, how they race for millions of dollars, you're going to start seeing maybe some punches thrown. That's just kind of how it might be with all the stuff that's on the line.
No doubt. Rob, as always, we appreciate everybody joining us in the chat, kicking it with us. We appreciate the back and
like
forth
and subscribe
as we talk. Like and subscribe.
Like
follow us on social media. We do most of our chatting on X. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'm at the 215. You can check us out there.
Check out my bad bowling takes.
Bad bowling takes. Check out our little reels that are going out. We got a lot of reels coming out. I'm also putting out some content hopefully this week based on my league. Doing some different content with my league, so hopefully you guys will see that this week. I give Jimmy worst of the week, and then when this is done, I'm probably going to text him and ask him to do some editing for me. After I gave him worst of the week, I'm the worst.
I think it's kind of a badge of honor, though.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we're going to get out of here. Football's coming on. Folks, ride with your boy. Under 46.5. Under 46.5.
Which means I'm about to put 100 on over.
Let's take this to the bank. Under 46.5. All right. Take it easy. Rob, 2 weeks. Talk to you.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big.